Hey there, comrades. Remember when we thought those little buzzing drones were just for Amazon deliveries and creepy neighbors? Turns out they're pretty good at blowing stuff up too. Ukraine has been sending these flying firecrackers deep into Russia, aiming for anything that smells like oil. Airports, ammo dumps, you name it. If it fuels Putin's war machine, it's on the target list. And guess what? They're hitting the mark. These aren't just pinprick attacks either. We're talking big explosions, massive fires, the kind that make you want to shout fire in a crowded theater, but, in Russian. The message is clear. Ukraine might not have the firepower to match Russia tank for tank, but they can sure make things uncomfortable back on the home front. Now, Russia, being Russia, is trying to downplay the whole thing. They're acting like that time they claimed a meteor was actually just a weather balloon, remember that? But the evidence is right there in the sky, visible for everyone with a smartphone and a Twitter account. The drones are coming and they're not delivering takeout. Let's talk about Ufa, shall we? This isn't some sleepy little village, mind you. We're talking about a major refining hub in the heart of Russia's oil country. If Russia's oil production were a heart, Ufa would be one of the ventricles pumping that sweet, sweet crude. So when a giant fireball erupts at the Ufa refinery, people tend to notice. And boy, was it a doozy. Imagine waking up at 2:30 in the morning, not for a late night snack, but to the sound of explosions rocking your neighborhood. That's what life is like for the good people of Ufa these days. The attack took out a key oil storage facility, turning those giant steel tanks into twisted metal sculptures. This wasn't the first time a Russian refinery felt the burn either. Remember the Salavat complex? Went up in flames a while back too. And let's not forget the Tuapse refinery, which got a taste of drone justice as well. And it's like a greatest hits tour of Russian oil infrastructure, except the headliner is a swarm of angry bees with explosives strapped to their backs. Now you might be thinking, John, you delightful scamp, what does all this mean for the average Ivan on the street? Well, dear viewer, it all boils down to this. Russia needs money to fight wars, and where does that money come from? You guessed it, oil. Oil is Russia's bread and butter, vodka and caviar, all rolled into one. But when your refineries are playing host to impromptu fireworks displays, it tends to put a damper on oil production. Less oil means less money for Putin to throw around, which is never a bad thing. Add to that the ever-tightening noose of international sanctions, and you've got a recipe for economic indigestion. Now, I'm not saying Russia is about to go bankrupt and start selling off its nuclear weapons on eBay. They're a resourceful bunch, those Russians. They've been finding new customers for their oil, cozying up to countries that don't mind looking the other way when it comes to, invading your neighbors, and they've been trying to boost their own domestic production because nothing says self-reliance like churning out ladas while the world burns. So where does all this leave us? In a word, uncertain. One thing's for sure, these drone attacks are a game changer. They've shown that even a smaller power like Ukraine can deliver a real punch, striking at the heart of Russia's war machine. And they've exposed the vulnerability of Russia's critical infrastructure, turning those once mighty refineries into symbols of uncertainty. Will these attacks be enough to cripple the Russian economy? Probably not on their own, but they're certainly throwing a wrench into Putin's plans, forcing him to divert resources and attention away from the battlefield. And they serve as a constant reminder that this war comes at a cost, not just for Ukraine, but for Russia as well. As for the future, well, your guess is as good as mine. This conflict has been full of surprises, and I doubt it's done surprising us yet. But one thing's clear. In this new age of warfare, the skies are no longer the exclusive domain of fighter jets and bombers. The drones are here, and they're changing the rules of the game.